And if you're tuning in, this is a seitan making workshop. We're going to make seitan from scratch. This is a log of seitan that I made earlier today to bring in so that you can see the finished product. I don't think the video is going to be live while the seitan cooks, because it cooks for about an hour. It would be a pretty boring video to watch pot boil. So I wanted to show you what the finished product will look like before we get cooking. And I'll show you, it cuts really good. I don't know if you've had seitan before. It's a meat substitute. This one tastes, we said it tastes a bit like pepperoni.
Yeah, I thought it tasted like pepperoni.
Yeah, so it's good. I like to, you can eat it, we were eating it just like this, but you can use it for stir fries, or you can bread it and fry it is my favorite way to do it. Not healthy, but it's really tasty. And yeah, this recipe is pretty versatile. You can add any other spices you want. We provided like a basic spice set for it, but it's pretty free flow, and it's also hard to screw up. If it doesn't stay in log form and it crumbles when you boil it, it's still edible. It's just going to be more like use it for tacos or something like that. So yeah, we can go ahead. If you have the recipe at home, the first thing we said to do was prepare the boiling liquid. So that's a mix of stock, water, and we've got HP sauce and soy sauce for that. So we already had our pot boiling on the stove. I don't know if people at home have that happen yet, but what you have in your packs are the bouillon cubes. So what I'd like for this, it says 1 cube for every 1 cube will do 3 cups of liquid. I'm actually going to have you put 2 cubes in to your 4 cups of water, and then another 4 cups of water. So we're going to make a more concentrated. Liquid. That's just nice because a lot of the flavor seeps in from the liquid you're boiling it in. And then you can also make a gravy at the end with the remaining liquid. I think I had mentioned that. I'm not sure we got put in the instructions.
I don't have to put in the instructions.
Okay,
yeah.
great. Yeah.
That's great.
So you can make a gravy with the liquid that remains, which is nice, so you want to have a lot of flavor in there. So you can get your water on and start heating it up as we go. And we will take the cubes. I like to crumble them a bit in. And then, so I already had 4 cups of water doubled for making the stock. So we're also going to do a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And it's nice, I have these same measuring cups at home.
Nice. That's how it looks.
This one that you had in your box is HP sauce. I had said Worcestershire, but Worcestershire, I don't know how to say it. But it's, I guess this is a good alternative because I didn't know that there's anchovies in Worcestershire. Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. Nice muffy and nice swam. Yeah.
So that's the broth. Hopefully we'll give it a stir before we add the seitan to it to make sure the stock is all broken up. And I'm just going to turn that down. We had the head start on everyone and had our water boiling before we went live. Just leave it on for now. So now we're going to get to making the actual dough. And what I'd like to do is first start with the dry ingredients. And I think everything for you guys has been portioned out already.
Yep.
Which is nice. You can thank the team at the Loaded Ladle for that. So in your baggie there'll be 1 cup of gluten flour. So this is not a gluten-free by any means. So this flour is extremely gluten heavy. It's regular flour that had all the other bits removed and it's just gluten left, which I think is why it's so good as a meat substitute, because it's just protein.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have our the gluten flour in there. You can find it at stores as Seitan flour, I've seen it, or Vital Wheat gluten, or Bulk Barn, which is usually where I buy stuff now. It's just called gluten flour. But then we have the nutritional yeast, which is a nice yeast, and it gives a cheesy flavor. I believe it's actually grown on molasses.
I think that's right.
I wanted to make it at home.
Oh my god, we should
scratch.
do one. Yes.
And I could
show.
not. So then I believe this is the smoked paprika that's pre-portioned.
Yep, and then
then underneath you've got garlic powder. And so here is where I'd mentioned an ability to adapt. If you want a spicy flavoring, you can mix in like cayenne pepper, or you can add cumin. You can add like powdered chipotle. These are ways that I like to do it. I like spicier things, but right now with the smoked paprika, it's going to give a nice smoky flavor. And I'm going to mix that up so that everything's incorporated at the beginning, and then there won't be random clumps of flavor, which is helpful.
And I'm just going to add, for anyone following on Instagram, if you have any questions for Keith, you can just type them in the comments, and then I'll just let Keith know the question so that we can get your answer.
So one thing I'm going to have us do today was, when I made it today, I'm going to have us add just the liquids at a slightly slower pace and have a bit of mixing done first. The batch I made today was a little bit on the wetter side, so it still turned out fine, but just in case measurements are a little bit off at people's homes, I'm going to have the liquid added a little bit slower. That'll be helpful for just making sure that it doesn't come out and crumble. And what I'm going to do is, what have I got? A half a cup of broth. One thing you can do if you don't want to make more broth, because I forgot to prep that, you can actually, I've done it a bunch of times. I have this recipe laid out to be followed at home, but usually I just use a scoop of the boiling liquid and incorporate that in.
Oh, that's smart.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that for this time.
Okay.
If you're at home, you can make your half a cup of stock. So this will be a little bit saltier, but literally it'll just add flavor. So not a full half cup at this point, which is helpful. Pour that in.
Have you ever tried to have it on pizza before?
I've done tacos. I haven't done it on
Yep.
pizza, but I think it would be good.
Yeah.
So I've got, since I was looking to have a little bit less liquid, and there's already soy sauce in the broth mix, I'm just going to use a little bit less soy sauce too. So it was a quarter cup, I need a quarter cup of soy sauce. So I'm going to do a little bit less just for the beginning. And then I think everyone got a lemon. So for the lemon, I'm just going to squeeze it over top, and you can, whoop. you might as well use the whole lemon.
Yeah. And you were saying, Keith, that people used to make this with just regular flour, right?
Yeah, so now it's nice because they're able to mechanically separate, or I don't know the process. But before, you used to have to take regular flour and knead it under running water for a while, and it would wash away all the rest of the everything else that was in the flour, and it would just be left with the gluten, which I don't know if I would do it if that was the case. I don't know if I have that sort of determination.
That'd be a lot of work. Somebody says, is it okay if the lemon seeds fall into the bowl? I think you squeeze them through your fingers,
I'll squeeze it through my fingers.
Yeah.
I would pull them out.
Yeah.
Just they'll add like a really bitter chunk
Yeah.
in the middle of the log. Do we have a spatula?
Yes.
I will go looking
just
for it.
in the where it says no cutlery, I think there should be one. I'll zoom in on our. It kind of looks like a little volcano.
So here we are. I've got a spatula. You can use a spoon. And we're just going to start stirring it up.
Yeah, it comes together pretty quickly, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once it starts coming together, start grabbing with your hand and forming it into a ball. And kneading it a little bit. So it does look like we've got the ability to add some more liquid to this. So at this point I'm going to add the oil.
Okay. Somebody asks about using lemon zest. Would you ever use lemon zest in there too, or just the juice?
You could zest lemon in it. It's
Yep.
like you've got a lot of control over the flavors. So
Yep.
for this one, we're not. It might impact the ability, since lemon zest is chunkier, it might impact the ability for it to stay together.
Good point.
But I don't think it would be not tasty.
Yeah, the taste would be good, but it might make it less like dough-like maybe.
I'm just gonna add, I added the oil that you guys all had, and I added a little more soy sauce to there. So,
Wow, this looks great. It's coming together so quickly.
yeah, it comes together pretty fast, which
Yeah.
is, I think Seitan, I was telling Sue about this, I think Seitan is like a little intimidating for some people. It's got a weird name, and then it's got a weird flour,
Yeah.
and it's like a meat substitute, so it's like, I wouldn't want to make my own tofu.
Yep.
But this one's actually like,
So
it's
good.
so simple,
Yeah.
and like I am not vegetarian or vegan, but I love eating this because I can infuse flavor in it a lot better than I can with meat. So I just added a little bit more soy sauce. What you want to be feeling, for those of you who are at home and you can't feel what I'm touching, it shouldn't feel grainy and dry. It should start to feel elasticy. So since we're not all adding the same amount of liquid, just that's the texture you want to go for. Is just going to do a splash more because I feel it feels a little bit, to me it feels a little bit like sand still. So I want to get that consistency going.
Yeah, when I went to buy the gluten flour from Bulk Barn, and then I was washing out the containers afterwards, oh my gosh, it was like elastic or something.
Yeah.
Like when it gets wet.
Yeah, so it'll start.
Yeah.
Gluten is why gluten-free bread is so part to form is because gluten is what sticks together. So you can
Yeah. Oh my God! Look at that. Yeah.
see it's really forming and
dense.
making those bonds, which are nice.
Yeah.
So now this one is feeling like a good texture to me.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go and turn the stove on again.
Mm-hmm.
So now's where you want to start forming. Since I split it, once you get it into a chunk, it does like to stay in a chunk. So I split it, so I'm going to make 2 logs, just so it doesn't separate when I'm. Then Sue and I can each have one.
Yeah. Little pepperoni log. I like that it's got the smoked paprika in it. I really appreciate that smoky flavor.
Smoked paprika is my go-to spice on buns. It's in every trade list that I make.
How did this flip around on me? I accidentally flipped it to my nodding face, being excited about it. Okay. Right, we're back.
So whatever shape it goes in to your water or to your boiling mixture is probably what it's going to come out with. So just for fun, before I've made donuts. There was no point in doing that. It was just to see if I could.
Did you tell people that they were just regular donuts?
No,
Okay.
it'd be gross. So this is the sort of shape that I want. This is what I'm used to. It's a versatile shape for making. You can cut it into strips. You can actually make really good. If you look up the spices that are in a donair, this is what they use to make vegan donairs.
Okay.
So it's you can see it looks sort of like donair meat.
So this is it after it's finished, and then this is before it's cooking. So you can see how the texture. It does just look like a little loaf, and it slices really nicely. Yeah.
So I've got these both formed, and I'm going to add them to the boiling mixture now.
Okay.
We've got tongs, so I'm going to use those.
Yeah, smart.
So you literally just put it straight in. And we'll get that come up to a boil again, and we're going to let it boil. Once it comes to a boil, you want to lower it a bit so it simmers. If you have it on a high boil, it won't wreck anything, but it will reduce the liquid faster, and you do want to maintain some liquid in there the whole time. It will reduce, they'll start to get exposed close to the 45-minute mark, so don't be worried about that. But yeah, just lower the temperature a little bit once it comes to a boil. You want it at a simmer.
And you want to leave the cover off?
Yeah, cover is off for the first 45 minutes.
Yep.
So I'm just going to break these. I forgot to whiskey like I said I would.
Oh, the little Sicilian. Yep. Alright, so we're going to give it a little whisk to break up the cheese. It smells really good. You want the mask on.
Alright, that looks better to me. That's good, it's out of boil. So now I'll add them again. And then we're going to set a timer for 45 minutes. It is nice to hang around it, you can let it go. There should be enough liquid in there that it won't. So yeah, as I was saying, you don't have to stand and stare at the pot as it boils. Do check in on it at maybe the half-hour mark to just make sure there's enough liquid. If it is really reduced, like if they're not at least 50% covered in liquid, then maybe add a little bit more water and get it back to a boil. But it is normal and fine for the liquid to reduce. And from there, we're going to let this boil 45 minutes. I'm going to do some cleanup, and then I don't think we'll be on video for it, but after 45 minutes, put a lid on it and turn the pot off. Let it sit for 15 minutes, and then you can pull them out. And you can pull them out, and I usually dry them on paper towel. I just let them sit on my counter. You can eat them right away, or you can wrap them and store them in your fridge.
How long will they last in your fridge?
They don't usually last for me,
Because you eat
but
them all?
yeah, you can freeze them.
Yeah,
And
okay.
so if you wanted to do a bigger batch, you could freeze what you have, and it works fine.
Okay.
So then yeah, you can use this in stir fries. You can cut it in for sandwiches. Pretty much it's yours.
Yeah, it's really versatile.
You have the base recipe now. The hardest part is finding gluten flour. Malt barn is my go-to. Bob's Red Mill, like Pete's. I've gotten it there before too, but I just, after I found out you can go to Malt Barn, I just go there. And at Malt Barn it's called gluten flour. Yeah, I'll hang on to the video for a few more minutes of the water boiling if anyone has questions.
Yeah.
Or I'm just gonna go clean my hands up.
Okay. Yeah, if anyone has any questions on Instagram, you can just type them in the comments, and then I'll just read them. I think you just tuned in. We're making seitan tonight. This live stream is going to be saved to the Ladle Instagram, so you can watch the whole thing. Probably put it up right after we finished. Back in. And we'll be doing another session on Thursday, which will be fried rice. And I'm just going to show people the finished seitan log again. That's it. That. Someone said, can I use other forms of stock? Like
Oh,
stock? Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the dough, like the dry ingredients of the dough, you want things that have good flavor. For the liquid part of the dough, you want things that are going to add flavor to it, so that's why we use the stock and the soy sauce. It'll give it a nice salt. And for boiling, same thing. You just want good flavor. You could do it in like a faux broth or a foie broth. Would probably add good flavor. And I did it with a bunch of, in the batter before I made it with a bunch of vinegar. I was wanting to make it more like a sweet and sour
Ooh, yeah.
sort of flavor.
Yeah.
I've only done that once, and it didn't hold its form as well. So that's like one thing. I think a lot of acid in there might break down the protein. So it's sort of counterintuitive with that. But yeah, any flavoring you want. These are good guidelines to have for the quantities. But you can replace soy sauce, like we replaced Worcestershire.
Yeah.
We replaced that with some HP sauce. You could probably, you do want something that's salty to give it good flavor, but any liquid flavoring is great.
Imagine the salt maybe helps preserve it a little bit too.
Probably. Yeah, what other Seitan facts do we know?
Yeah, Seitan Facts.
I don't know any others.
Or if anybody watching has made seitan before, I'd be curious to hear. Someone says they're excited to try. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, has anyone watching made seitan before, or if you have, don't be shy. Let us know.
There is a secret ingredient that you can add that my friend does, and they make seitan that's better than me. And they add peanut butter to theirs, but due to allergies, that wasn't something we were gonna explore with this. But they add peanut butter, like just like non-chunky peanut butter.
Huh.
Theirs is so good.
I wonder if they would add that like instead of the HP maybe for those.
I'm not sure at which point. They may just
like
make it as is and then add a little more flour and some peanut butter. And then, you can really do what you want with it.
Right. And this is, I'll just go like close up of what it.
So it cuts, holds its shape.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, you could throw it in a food processor for a little bit and make like ground round out of it. I like it. And it's good just to eat like this. You can make sandwiches with it.
Yes. I just tried it and it was really good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Alright. Well,
Anyways,
I think
thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We got 45 minutes of boiling, 15 minutes with the lid on. Dry it off. Use it tonight. Leave it in the fridge, wrapped up, and it should be good to go. Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Alright, thanks Steve. Thanks everybody. Bye. Yay! Alright, I'm going to put on IGTV right now. Tell all your friends. Select the cover image. Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
Okay, next. Seitan. Do I put your name on it?
Sure.
Okay. Stop. This one.